If you guys are serious about building muscle, then you're in the right spot, because today we're gonna go over the best exercises that you need to be doing in a program to build muscle. Now, before we hop into all the exercises that you need to be doing in your program, one big part to the equation of building muscle is your nutrition and the amount of calories, the percentage of macros that you're eating each and every day. So if you have more specific questions on your macros, or if you're looking for more custom tailoring to your macros, I have a link in the comments in the description below on my website where you can go fill out that form, and I will personally do a free macro calculation. So like I said, after you're done watching the video, if you're looking for more structure around your macros and more custom tailoring to your specific goals, your specific body weight, and your specific needs, head over to the link in the comments in the description below, fill out that form, and I'll calculate your macros for free. So we're gonna go by each and every muscle group, and I'm gonna tell you the best exercises that you need to be structuring your workout around to effectively build muscle. One of the biggest components of building muscle is overloading your muscles every single week. You have to continuously get stronger. You have to continuously be getting better and placing a stimulus on your muscles in order for them to grow. Because if you're doing the same workout over and over again, or you're doing this crazy high rep workout that there's never any sort of progression in the weights or the reps, your muscles are going to adapt to that, and you're not going to get any stronger, and you're not going to build any muscle. So the whole principle behind all these exercises is that they are compound exercises that you can lift more weight, that you can progress in reps, that you can get stronger from week to week, and that's going to help you continuously get better. And one thing that I would do with each of these exercises is I would almost get a notebook or get an app and continuously keep track of the weights that you're lifting. Because say that you do an exercise, say that you do exercise A for 100 pounds in week 1 for 10 reps. You wouldn't want to come back and do 100 pounds for 10 reps the next week. You would want to try and get 12 reps, or you'd want to try and go 105 pounds. So one of the most foundational things in strength training, but a lot of times people forget, is that you have to overload consistently from week to week. I don't care if it's your legs, your arms, your chest, your back, no matter what it is, you have to pick these exercises that we're going to talk about today, and you have to get stronger from week to week. So let's start off with the legs first. And we're going to go through the entire lower body, your quads, your hamstrings, and your glutes. Some of the best exercises to build muscle in your legs are going to be these big compound movements like a front squat or a back squat, or any sort of squatting variation where you can add weight to the bar each week. You can also do a deadlift or a Romanian deadlift, where the Romanian deadlift is going to primarily target more of your hamstrings and is going to have an actual eccentric portion of your lift, whereas the deadlift a lot of times is more of just a concentric, but still is a great exercise that you can overload each week. You can also incorporate things like lunges, walking lunges, reverse lunges, Bulgarian split squats. Any sort of lunge variation is going to be a great way that you can overload, whether it's with a dumbbell, whether it's with a barbell, whether it's on a Smith machine, whatever it is. Any lunge that you're doing, you can add weight from week to week. And then you could also incorporate things like a hip thrust or any sort of hip thrust variations. These are great exercises, and this is what the bulk of your leg training should be structured around. Yes, now you can do leg extensions, leg curls, leg press, hack squat, all sorts of stuff like that, where you should still focus on getting stronger, but I would stick to squats, lunges, Romanian deadlifts, and hip thrusts. Those are going to be your main exercises that you'd structure the bulk of your leg training around. Let's talk about the chest next. So the chest, you're going to be doing mostly bench pressing variations. You can do any sort of decline, flat, or incline bench press, whether it's with a barbell, whether it's with a dumbbell, whether it's on a Smith machine. Just focus on getting stronger from week to week. That's the main principle that we're trying to establish here today. Another exercise that a lot of times people forget about, but is a great way that you can overload the chest, is doing a chest-focused dip. Now with your chest dip, what you're gonna do is, instead of being straight up and down, you're gonna lean forward just a little bit, and you're gonna focus on getting a really deep stretch in your chest, and you're gonna complete the bottom 3/4 of the rep to keep the tension on your chest. Again, it's a great exercise that once you start to be able to do 10 to 12 reps, you can add some weight and start to overload in that way on the chest dip. Now again, you can still do exercises like cable flies, dumbbell flies, things like that that are going to isolate the chest, and you still should do those, but most of your training should be focused on the bench press, whether that's flat, decline, incline, chest dips, dumbbell bench presses, so that you can consistently get stronger from week to week. Next, let's talk about the back muscles. With this, we have a lot of variations and a lot of options. But typically you're going to want to stick to some sort of pull-up progression, whether that is a pull-up, a chin-up, or a neutral grip pull-up, and try to get stronger from week to week. Now, if you can't do pull-ups right now, another great option is using an assisted pull-up machine or doing things like banded pull-ups, which is going to give you more practice on the pull-up bar and start to understand how to hold your body when you're doing pull-ups. Another great option would be doing things like lat pull-downs, that you're going to start to develop strength in your lats so that you can eventually work your way to the pull-up bar. Another great option is going to be any sort of row variation, whether that is a dumbbell row, whether that's a cable row, whether that's a bent over barbell row, T-bar row. Any sort of rowing variation where you can slowly just get stronger from week to week is a great way that you could place emphasis on your back muscles and grow stronger, bigger lats. You can still do things like straight arm pull downs, dumbbell pullovers, isolated row machines. Those are still great for accessory work, but focus the first part of your workout on your pull-ups, your rows, your heavy pull-downs, and focus on getting stronger from week to week. Your shoulder muscles, you're going to be a little more limited to pressing movements. So what I would stick with is whatever pressing variation feels most comfortable and natural for you, whether that is going to be a standing barbell overhead press, a standing dumbbell overhead press, a seated barbell press, a seated dumbbell press, Smith machine press, whatever is most comfortable for you. But that's going to be your main exercise that you're really going to structure a bulk of your training around, because that is the best exercise to overload your shoulders and continuously get stronger. You can also do upright row variations, but I would stick to most of your bulk of your compound movements and your overload movements to things like your shoulder presses. There's also this big misconception that once you get to your isolation movements that you should go super high rep and never focus on getting stronger. But I still think that you can still get stronger on things like lateral raises, upright rows, face pulls, and other shoulder accessory movements. It's just going to be a ceiling effect where your shoulder press, you're going to be able to overload, and on a lateral raise, eventually you're going to start to get to where you're not going to be lateral raising a 100-pound dumbbell. So there is a ceiling effect, but I still do think there's a lot of value in overloading these isolation-based exercises to structure most of your shoulder training around those heavier presses. The biceps and triceps are the next muscle group that we're going to talk about, and this is two areas where I think that people forget how to overload. They try to get as much pump and blood flow on arm day as they can, and that's a great driver of muscle growth, but you still have to be getting stronger some way, shape, or form in this workout. So there's a lot of isolation exercises around your biceps and your triceps, but here are some good compound movements that you can structure at the beginning of your workout around to overload your arms and continuously get stronger so that you can build bigger arms. Let's start with the triceps first. Now, a couple of the best options are going to be any sort of dip variation. Like we talked about the chest dip. If you stay a little more upright and focus on a good strong lockout, a dip is a great tricep variation. You can start to add weight once you start to be able to crank out 10 to 12 reps, and it's a great way that you can overload. Another great option is going to be any sort of close grip bench press. Now with the close grip bench press, what I would do is I would not go any closer than shoulder width. Studies show that if you go any closer than shoulder width, you don't get any more tricep activation. You just put more pressure on your wrist and your elbow. So right at shoulder width, focus on tucking your elbows and getting a good strong lockout. That's going to be a great way that you can overload your triceps. Another great option is going to be any sort of skull crusher movement where you're going to be able to lift the most amount of weight. You can start to lift heavier, you can slow down eccentrics. Just look for ways that you can overload your arms. And yes, you can still do overhead extensions and push downs and kickbacks and accessory movements like this that are going to help you build bigger arms, but still focus on the meat and the potatoes, some sort of dip, some sort of skull crusher, some sort of close grip bench. I would always have at least one of those in every single arm workout. And then lastly, let's talk about the biceps. This is one of the trickier ones because every single bicep motion where you're flexing your arm is more of an isolation-based movement. So any sort of curl is isolating just the biceps. But a couple variations that I found that really help, especially if you structure them at the beginning of the workout to overload your biceps, is going to help with building stronger and bigger biceps. The first one is going to be any sort of chin-up variation. And yes, your chin-ups are going to predominantly train your lats, but they're also going to work your biceps a lot. And if you start to be able to do 10 to 12 chin-ups in a row, you can start to load your chin-ups, and that's going to help you build bigger, stronger biceps over time. You can also start to structure more barbell, dumbbell, curl, eccentric variations, where you're using a little momentum, or if you're doing a dumbbell, using the opposite arm to get the dumbbell up and then slowly lowering that weight. Yes, it's more of an isolation-based exercise, but with your arms, if you're only ever isolating and you're never overloading or placing any sort of stimulus, especially with the biceps, it's going to be really hard for you to build muscle. So that's a great variation that I love to incorporate into my clients and my own training to help spark some new muscle growth, especially if you've just been doing the same bicep workouts over and over again and you're not seeing any results. Just like I was saying earlier, any sort of isolation exercise, there's still validity in trying to just slowly get stronger over time. There's obviously going to be a ceiling effect to this, but you should still be lifting heavier weights 6 months from now than you are right now. So there should always still be some sort of progression no matter what the exercise is. So that was a lot of exercises. Now let's talk about how to structure workouts around these exercises. And what I would typically do is I would typically start off with some sort of primer before your workouts. This is going to be a nice isolation exercise, not super heavy, that is going to get some blood flow, get the mind right, build that mind-muscle connection before you start to get to your heavier stuff. So say that you are doing a chest day. You might do a couple push-ups, maybe a couple sets of push-ups, nothing to failure, nothing to fatigue, but it's just starting to get your chest activated so you can focus on those muscles and you're getting some blood in those muscles. And then you might go to a heavy barbell bench press where you're trying to overload. Then you might pick an incline dumbbell press. So those are 2 compound movements. Then you might go into more of your isolation chest flies, things like that, those types of exercises where you're isolating at the end of the workout. That's typically how I would structure a workout. Start off with a primer, pick 1 to 2 big compound movements that you're consistently overloading from week to week, and then finish with a couple isolation. With that, you're still focusing on getting stronger, but you can start to cut the rest time down. You can start to superset. You can start to do a couple more sets and add some volume. And that's a great way that you can continuously overload the muscle and structure a well-rounded program to ensure that you're overloading the muscle and placing the stimulus on your muscle to grow. So if you guys have any questions on anything that we covered in the video today, or more questions on building muscle, or anything related to nutrition or exercise, let me know down in the comment section below. I'd be happy to help any way that I can. And if you found anything helpful in this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button for me. Like I said, if you're looking for more structure on your macros, head over to the link in the comments below, fill out that form, and I will personally calculate your macros for free so that you can be maximizing your time in the gym and building muscle. I hope you guys found the video helpful. I'm gonna leave a couple of the videos to watch on the screen here next. Make sure you check those out, and I'll see you guys in the next one.